Well, if I talk about Gandhi in the classroom, an extension of it, Gandhi in leadership, I'll share few of my learnings which I have received over the years studying Gandhi. My interaction with Gandhi came for the first time when I was around maybe 9 or 10 year old when my parents took me to birthplace of Gandhi, Kirti Mandir in Porbandar. Over there, my parents got me a 2 rupee book, a small book which had the life story of Gandhi. The same night, I could not sleep because I was so eager to read that book. At around 10:30, I started reading the book, and by the time I completed the last page of it, it was around maybe in the early morning. I read that book again, and that is how Gandhi came to me. I have always admired and loved Gandhi from the multiple perspective. Today, let me share few of my findings from the experience which Gandhiji had in his life. The very first and very close to my heart is the message of diversity and inclusion. गांधी जी जिस तरह से पूरे देश को अपने साथ एक साथ जोड़ सकते थे, ऐसा हालांकि कोई व्यक्ति था जो उसकी तरह से पूरे देश को जो विभिन्नताओं से भरा हुआ था उसको एक साथ ला पाता था. You would be surprised to know that in 1925, yes, in 1925, Gandhiji appointed a woman as the head of Indian National Congress, Sri Sarojini Naidu ji. Can you believe that in 1925, it was very difficult, even in the United States, to have a leader of a state as a governor who could be woman? We yet do not have a woman president in the United States. Or in many parts of the world in 1920s, women leadership was very rare. And that is when Gandhiji gave the head of Indian National Congress to a woman, Sarojini Naidu. Second example on diversity and inclusion can be found in early days of Gandhi when he was in South Africa, when he started in a magazine called as Indian Opinion. Do you know that this magazine Indian Opinion was published not only in one language but four languages? Yes, it was published in English, Hindi, Gujarati, and Tamil. Probably the first multilingual magazine published in the world. Second learning, which I really like about Gandhiji, is he never concentrated power with himself. He always made others the leaders. So many people we know today as the freedom fighters of our country are because they were supported, nurtured, and promoted by Gandhiji. Of course, we can talk about Nehru, Chacha Nehru, C. Rajagopalachari, or Sardar Patel, and many, many more. Sometime when you read Gandhiji and the life stories of other leaders, you will find that Sri Rajagopalachari was the head of Gandhiji, Pandit Nehru was the heart of Gandhiji, and Sardar Patel was the hand of Gandhiji. Third thing which I really like about Gandhiji is his availability. Friends, there were days Gandhiji did not speak because he followed the Maunavrata, silence. There were days he did not eat because he used to fast quite often. But hardly there was a day when Gandhiji did not write. And which kind of letters used to come to Gandhiji? All sort of. Whether you have an agreement with Gandhiji, you have a disagreement with Gandhiji, you want to have a debate with Gandhiji, you could write anything. There are over 1,000 letters written to Gandhiji by just family people sharing their family matters. And Gandhi would reply to them or else make sure that their secretary would reply to each and every message. If you want to talk and argue and debate with Gandhi, you can just go to his ashram where he was living on that particular time and walk with him on the morning or evening walk. And if Gandhi thought that your conversation is worth public attention, he would publish your thoughts or your letter in his magazines and newspapers, even if it was against him. Last thing, which I really admire about Gandhi, is his ability to laugh and humor. How wonderful that would be if teachers in our classroom can also laugh. Sometimes we miss laughter, isn't it so? Two incidents I'd like to quote here. The very first one is one fine day in Ahmedabad in Sabarmati Ashram on the fine Monday. Monday was the day when Gandhiji used to keep mom. He used to be in silence. So Sarojini Naidu ji decides that today kuch bhi ho jaye, I want to talk to Gandhiji. And I'll make sure that he speaks. So she goes, approaches Gandhiji on very fine Monday and Gandhiji is sitting in the mall. Come, she enters the room where Gandhi Bapu was sitting, and he said, "Oh, Bapu, do you know what did I see today? You just can't believe." Surprisingly, Gandhiji looks at her and questions at what without speaking, and said, "Bapuji, today I saw the ugliest man on the planet." Again, Gandhiji was in surprise. What? He said, "Yes, Bapuji, आज तो मैंने ना दुनिया का सबसे ugly इंसान देखा." So Gandhi takes the pencil and the notebook which was kept next to him, and he writes, "Do you mean second?" Question mark. That means that he considered himself as the most ugliest man on the planet, and whoever Sarojini Naidu encountered that morning could be second one. The second one, which is also very quite cute, romantic, is one French reporter visited Gandhiji in Aga Khan Palace when Ba and Bapuji was there in Pune, in Aga Khan Palace. First of all, this French reporter approaches Ba and asks, "Ba, I want to ask you a question." "Yes, what is the question?" He said, "Ba, can you tell me who is the most handsome man on the planet?" So Ba, थोड़ा शर्मा के अपना पल्लू ऐसे करके कहते हैं, "Of course, your Bapu." So, in curiosity, the French reporter goes to Gandhiji and said, "Bapu, can you tell me who is the most beautiful woman on this planet?" And of course, Gandhiji smiled and replied that और कोई नहीं, आपकी ही बा. And this anecdote is mentioned by his secretary, Desai ji. So these are the few qualities which I really like, and there can be more of it. Few days ago, I was giving a talk on Gandhiji, and one of the youth asked me in the Q&A session that there are so many mistakes which I can't find in Gandhi's life. I do not agree to so many of things. What do you have to say about it? And I replied, saying that, "Have you read Gandhi's autobiography?" He said, "Yes, of course I have read it." I said, "Okay, what is the name? What's the title of Gandhi's autobiography?" He said, "It is My Experiment with Truth." And I said, "Yes, here is your answer." He never called himself that he has found the truth. His life and his teachings are an experiment, open to the world. If you want to apply, try it out as an experiment in a laboratory of your life. He never called himself as a conclusion of the truth, but it was always an experiment of truth. This is Gandhiji. In classrooms, if we can include all these teachings in our education system and in leadership, I think we can have definitely more diverse and inclusive and smiling society of tomorrow.